And good evening, and welcome to City Focus. I'm Marty Olsen, your host, and my scheduled guest was a late scratch, so you're going to have me tonight running solo. And I would encourage any and all who are watching, if you'd like to contribute to the program, please give us a call at 860-445-7499. And it's kind of an open mic, so whatever's on your mind, this is a good time to air it out. I would like to open with some Kiwanis news, New London Kiwanis Club, and recently we had our scholarship presentations, awards, the N.B. King Scholarship, the New London Kiwanis Club, and two of our four recipients were able to make the presentation at Langley's Restaurant at Great Neck Country Club, and I'll tell you, these youngsters are bright and active, and it gives you faith that as we move forward into the future that there are quality young people that are anxious to move in and step up and fill the gap and take over the leadership as they mature and as some of us get to become literally graybeards, and it's a good thing. And the two folks, we had four students that we presenting scholarships to, and the two that were unable to join us at Langley's on the 24th of last month, they will get their scholarships on the 17th of July at our regular lunch meeting, which we hold the first and third Thursdays at Philomena's restaurant on Boston Post Road in Waterford. So we're looking forward to meeting those two youngsters as they're making their way on to college. And that's one of the things that we do that's really warms your heart, that you're working hard as a club. And again, this year we're awarding a total of four $3,000 scholarships, which is $12,000. And I don't know a lot of people who have the capacity to award or grant that much money to folks that they don't know. You know, maybe for their own family, but to give it to people, you know, that are basically strangers, you know, that's kind of a whole different ball of wax. And this is where an outfit such as the Kiwanis Club, where you're working as a group, you can collectively put things together and accomplish a tremendous amount of good. And the money that we raise goes back into the community, and that's, I think, it's a good thing. And we have no administrative costs, so it's it all goes back, and primarily for the youth of our community, and that could be anywhere from prenatal, really up into somebody's in their 20s, a variety of different programs, whether there's Kiwanis sponsored programs or just financial requests from youngsters or groups that happen to be youth related, such as the New London Little League, which we've been sponsoring a team for the better part of 50 years. And also coming up in the club in August will be the annual Service Person of the Month program, and that's also another special one. And that's a program that is sponsored by the Eastern Connecticut Chamber of Commerce, and each month one of the local service clubs sponsors the event, and August has been our month now for, well, as long as I can remember. And historically we'll get a enlisted person from the Coast Guard, and they'll either be stationed at the New London station or at the academy. And again, we get quality people who are being recognized for their work efforts as well as what they're giving back to the community. And it's another special one and makes you proud to be an American, quite frankly. And I might add, if anybody who's watching, if you're interested in getting involved, again, the New London Kiwanis Club meets the first and third Thursday at the Philomena's in Waterford on Boston Post Road. And if you happen to know any members, you can talk to them. Ted Nelson, John Russell, John Vincent, Pam Stevens Moriarty. We got a nice group. We have fun, and Our big fundraiser for the year is coming up in September, and that will be held on the 19th of September, which is a Friday, and it's a shotgun start, and it's an event that we, quite frankly, we need a little bit of everything. We need players, and we need sponsors, volunteers, we need prizes, and we put on a nice event, and the net that we fundraise on this tournament is basically funds all of our charitable donations over the course of the following administrative year, which runs from October 1 to September 30. So it's a good opportunity to meet the club if you're so inclined, if you're a golfer, and kind of get an idea whether or not it's something you like to shake and bake with, or come to a club meeting or any other Kiwanis event and get a chance to meet the group and have an opportunity to see if it's something you think that you would like to get involved with. We have a golf tournament flyer. I thought I saw that on the screen when I came in a little bit earlier. If Drew could post that just so you can kind of get an idea what's going on, time, date, and place. Well, perhaps I'm a little bit ahead of him. Okay, well, for those who do participate in the tournament, in golf, the fee per player is $175. There we go. And that includes your greens fees, a box lunch cart, there's a buffet dinner afterwards, and there's lots of prizes. There's raffles, there's also special closest to the pin on the 4 par 3s, as well as special prizes for hole-in-ones on the par 3s, including a $10,000 award if you hit a hole-in-one on, I believe it's hole number 9. Over the course of the years, nobody's done that yet, but I think that would engender quite a bit of enthusiasm. And the first, second, and third place teams, they all win prize money in the pro shop, and we've raised the, because we've been doing a little bit better in terms of the overall net profit, that the first, second, and third place teams will be getting a little bit more per team / per player. There's also a long drive on 18 for men and women. And again, these prizes are awarded for use in the pro shop. And they're good. Actually, there's no expiration date on these, so you can go over there at your leisure and snoop around and see if there's something in there that you might like to bring home and have some fun. Okay. Now, as I would also like to mention that currently I'm serving as president of the club, but I'm passing the baton starting October 1 to Ted Nelson, who's, as I have, served as president before. But we're in good hands, and Ted's a good man, and he will do a terrific job as we transition on October 1st. Excuse me. And I'd like to just share a few things as we move forward. Keep it close to home in New London. With Ocean Beach, I would just like to share, I want to share something positive. I think it's very positive first, and that is on Monday evenings after 5 o'clock, there's no admission, and they have a cruise night or a car show, and that is a lot of fun. And folks bring down old cars, they bring down muscle cars, there's folks that bring down Corvettes, there's cycles, trucks, but there's a good mix of motor vehicles. It's a terrific social event and family event, I might add. Jeff Mullen does a great job. He's got the rides open, so there's something for the kids to do. The water slide would be open. And of course, this is all weather permitting, and the beach does a good job of notifying folks if there's going to be inclement weather, they shut this thing down. But weather like we've had the last few days, last Monday and the week before, it was terrific. to go down to Ocean Beach Park. And I like to just give a pat on the back to Dave Chagru, who I think does a Cadillac job down there running the facility as a general manager. And looking for better crowds. I mean, the beach is certainly a weather-driven business, and it's hard to do a big booming business when you have lots of rain. And we had, I think, 12 or 14 Saturdays in a row here where we've had rain, and that spell has finally broken, and I hope for the balance of the summer we get lots of sun and warm weather. But I'd like to point out, too, that the fracas that they had down there a couple of weeks ago, just kind of how things have shifted over the course of time. When I was a teenager, growing up in New London and working as a lifeguard, Ocean Beach was a police beat, and it was taken by one gentleman by the name of Donald Sloan. But that's where he worked. He was down at Ocean Beach in the summertime, and he'd be walking around, walking the boardwalk, keeping an eye on things, keeping the kids off the railings, and poking around into nooks and crannies to make sure there was not any illicit activity going on. And that helped to, I think, curb nefarious activities, and that's important. You know, as a police officer, wherever it may be, you know, he's not going to see, or she, everybody. However, everybody is going to see the cop. And that's the important consideration, that everybody knows that there's a cop present, and that may deter them from doing something silly or stupid and get in trouble. So over time, the position, which had been a beat position, has now turned into an overtime position, and the officers have to sign up for this duty. And quite frankly, and I hate to say it, but there are times when nobody signs up and there is no police present. And I don't think that's a healthy position, and I don't think it's well thought out. I think that the city should be making a concerted effort to see that there's an officer there during the summer months every day at best, and if that is financially not feasible, certainly over the weekend and into the evenings when you have your bigger crowds. And I think that would be important. It would help to deter some of the shenanigans that took place. But there seems to be a kind of a laissez-faire attitude by the city mayor and the city council and the rest of the administration towards a police presence, whether it be at Ocean Beach or the Central Business District. New London is a small community geographically, and when something goes wrong in New London, it's a slap in the face. It's a smear on the entire community. It's not like it's isolated to a particular spot. And quite frankly, folks have choices on where they're going to spend their disposable income, whether it's going to be in New London, or they can go to Mystic, they can go to Niantic locally. There's certainly other choices for entertainment, to go to New Haven, Hartford, Providence, or Worcester, Springfield, to be within an hour, hour and a quarter. They don't have to come to New London. And if folks don't feel safe, they won't come. And quite frankly, for those who traverse in through downtown New London, the pedestrian traffic is nil. So, I mean, that speaks volumes that folks are not coming into downtown New London, at least at this time, and haven't for quite some time. And I think a lot of it is because of the lack of police presence. There used to be, well, going back to the year that I had the privilege of serving as mayor, we had 95 police officers in New London, and that's now down into the mid-60s. So we've lost about a third of our force, and it's never recovered. And I don't think, again, that the city government has taken a serious push on this to get back up to speed with the amount of police protection and presence that we really need. we had a major issue that occurred overnight on Coleman Street by Garfield, I believe it was, and somebody was seriously injured, at least as reported by the Day. I've heard that may be even worse than that, but until I see it reported in a reputable periodical, I'm not going to quite go there yet. But this is the kind of stuff that people will raise their eyebrow, and again, they'll make a decision whether or not they want to come to New London or not. And I think it's incumbent upon the community to push our government into saying that we deserve and we want better protection, and we need more of a police presence throughout the community, and demand, especially on the weekends, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, downtown, have walking beats on Bank and State Streets. Again, the police will not see everybody, but the people who are down there will see that there are cops. And in the same vein, we have a big festival coming in again this Saturday. I guess it's been whittled down to a day, formerly known as Sailfest, and I quite frankly don't know what they're calling it this time, but there will be fireworks on Saturday night. And I'm gathering that the Mashantuckets are paying for it, and it ought to be one of the larger events. But it's not going to be a Sailfest where it spans 2 or 3 days with vendors. I don't believe we're going to be seeing vendors. And basically it's going to be a fireworks show. And the irony of it all is that the reason given for cutting Sailfest out was that they couldn't afford it. And I feel Barbara Neff took one on the chin there. The mayor threw her under the bus. He didn't fund Sailfest, and without funding, Ms. Neff made a decision that, well, without funding, we're not going to have Sailfest. We can't have it if we don't have the funds to pay for the different services that needed to be provided. So here we are on a wing and a prayer, and they've managed to come together to fund police and other emergency services. The roads will be blocked off. So it's going to be just like Sailfest, except that it's not like Sailfest. And it's either puzzling and disappointing, and I think that we'll see how it shakes out. People come down, and if the fireworks in and of themselves will be enough to get the large crowds that we're accustomed to in downtown New London for Sailfest, which had run a 40-year run, and I think it had proven to be quite popular. I recognize there are those who love it, and there are others who would be just as happy if it would disappear. But I think that goes along with a lot of events and decisions and choices that we make in our lives and the government makes. I'd also like to tack in a little bit regarding the recent opening of the New London's new Community and Recreation Center down in Fort Trumbull. I was unable to attend that. I had to work during the day on that specific day. During the course of construction, I did drive by a few times just to kind of check out on progress on drive-bys. And I'd just like to note, so that folks have an idea, this was initially budgeted at $30 million, and there we go. And it crept up to $40 million. So we had quite an increase in expenses, and the size of the facility, although it still is quite large as it is now, was scheduled to be significantly larger. So we're getting less for more money. And as much as I think anybody who lives in New London wants to see this center succeed, who wants to see failure, I am genuinely concerned, and I know lots of other people are as well, that this center is going to have the capacity to sustain itself financially. Now, I have read recently that in order to break even, they're going to need 5,000 memberships, and I have a hard time wrapping my head around that many people buying into this thing. a large part of the revenue stream when this was conceived was that we would get a lot of memberships from folks who reside out of town. And again, folks that I speak to who live in Waterford or East Lyme, Montville, or even on the other side of the bridge in Groton, Stonington, etc., whether or not they're anxious to pay a fee to come to New London to be members of our community center. And quite frankly, I have yet to find one who said, I can't wait to do that. And that's because those communities already have community centers, they have swimming pools, and they have high schools or schools that are more accessible than New London's are. So they don't need to come into New London, and I don't see them doing this out of a charity type of thing. Well, we're going to help New London out and join it just because it's the good thing to do. So we'll have to see how this all shakes out. And the thing is that if we don't sustain ourselves financially, it still has to be paid for. And the operations anyway, the building itself was done with an awful lot of grants and federal and state money to offset the escalating costs. And I'm just, the taxpayers are going to have to pick up the slack if we don't meet our goal. And I think it's ironic as well that the mayor has made a decision to hire an outside firm, which happens to come from the Midwest, to operate this new facility. And this is a model that a year ago he was blasting Boston Concessions center plate for why the Ocean Beach, who we pay to operate the facility, isn't rolling in dough. And again, when you don't have good weather, it's awfully hard in a 3-month season to turn over a profit. And I'm just saying to myself, if it's not working to your satisfaction at Ocean Beach, what makes you think it's going to work this template at this new community center? So I'm a little bit puzzled by that, and I'll be watching that very, very carefully. I do think that it's interesting too that they are now going to be putting Ocean Beach out to bid for the operations, and to see how many folks are going to bid on that. And again, I'd like to give kudos to Dave Shagru, who works, and I want to emphasize, Shagru does not work for the city. He works for the contractor that operates Ocean Beach. And that's what they do, that firm. They operate the beach. The buildings, the boardwalk, the all that, the parking lot, that's all owned by the city, and it's the city's responsibility to take care of those buildings. And I think sometimes that gets missed. People point fingers and they're not accurate, or in many instances they don't know what the heck they're talking about. And people will gripe about the rising cost to get in, and again, the city council, they approve the rates. So the city's approving the rates. It's not Shagru, and it's not the firm that he works for. Now they bring in a budget because they want to, they're trying to ensure that they're getting enough revenue to support their business. And it is a business, it's not a charity. And I think that, again, folks get confused and they need to understand the facts. And I think that we need to be pragmatic about this. Now, if you are a regular Ocean Beach Park goer or user, the fees actually jive. They make sense because you put a carload of people in there on a regular basis, anywhere from once a week to every day. I mean, I know folks who go down to the beach every day all summer. It's just that's their heaven, and they're getting the max out of their fees to enter the park. Now, if you buy a seasonal pass and you don't use it, or you use it once for the season, well, then you paid a hefty price to go in once. But that's not our fault as the city or the beach. That's kind of your own fault. That's decisions that you made for whatever reason. So I think that we have to be aware of these type of situations when we're evaluating what's going on. And but the beach is a terrific resource, and I hope that for the balance of the summer months that we have good crowds. Also, in regards to pricing, and this gets back to, I would say, with the firm that's operating the beach, getting summer help these days is very, very challenging, and the pay rates that you have to pay to get primarily young people, I would say college level. It used to be high school and college. Now it seems to be primarily college age kids to come in and work. Has gotten to be it's costly. If you're paying lifeguards over $20 an hour, and they can't get lifeguards or enough to patrol the entire beach safely at all times, or the pool, or your food servers and the folks, the cashiers at the gates to enter the facility, it makes it, that drives the cost up for the parking passes to come into the beach, whether you live in town or you don't. And sometimes there's so much, we should do this or we should do that, and let's put a restaurant in there all year round. And quite frankly, if those were feasible, I think that over the last, 60 and 25, 85 years, somebody would have done it already. But it hasn't proven to be a wise business decision. The models don't work to do that, and which limits the opportunity. The gymnasium that was down there, that has gone out, and I'm not sure what plan is for that space. So these are things that we have to keenly and look at very hard. And those who are making decisions on who to put in there have got to be able to analyze these things as business people. You just can't be listening to folks making a pitch and just take everything and not be able to critically look at things and discern what's being proposed and what's positive and what's not, and what's realistic and also what is not. And I'd like to take a moment. I'd like to remind everybody here, we're about halfway through, that we are live, and I can take phone calls and would encourage and welcome calls this evening at 860-445-7499. One thing that folks are commenting on is the amount of new apartments that have been going up throughout the city. We got some large buildings just outside the central business district, the Beam and the docks down on the old Parcel J on Bank Street and Howard and Shaw Street, and then down on Howard, down closer to the old Minor and Alexander and Huey's. You've got the Beam, and these are the large apartment buildings. There's a proposal in Fort Trumbull for a 500-unit complex, and these complexes are really geared for high-end renters, and it's a dirty word. You don't hear it usually too much, especially coming from Democrats. But let's face it, New London is a Democratic city. It's called gentrification, where you've got folks being pushed out, and quite frankly, we've got many locals that can't afford to move into these new apartments, but these new apartments and the rates they're generating are also raising the rental rates throughout the city, and the market is tight, which also creates demand, which raises rentals. And I just wonder how this is going to play out over the long haul when you have, and in the rental market, and many of the folks moving into these new units are, not exclusively, but a significant amount are engineers that have been hired by Electric Boat. And I don't know if any of you are aware, but EB is advertising for help everywhere, nationwide. I mean, it's amazing. You go to a ball game and go get a job working on a sub. Let's build submarines. And you could be in California or Michigan, Boston Garden. It's amazing. So folks are coming in from everywhere. But the thing is, are these folks going to stay? Most of them are young. They're coming out of college. Are they going to stay in New London? Or are they going to be transient? Well, one of the benefits of being in a rental unit is you can get out of it relatively quickly. You buy a house, it's a little more challenging to sell a house, although that market's pretty hot right now as well. But it allows the occupant to move quickly. So if they get an opportunity in another area, in another thing, well, let's see here. We got a phone call. Let's, okay. Good evening, you're on the air.
Yes, I'd like to talk to Marty.
Yes, it's Marty. How you doing?
Oh, okay. All right. Didn't recognize you. The eyes are a little crooked lately.
Yes.
Oh, I just tuned in, and you're talking about Ocean Beach, and it sounds like you need money. Now, I just remembered, the town is getting $17 billion to make improvements on the waterfront. Now, as I see it, Ocean Beach is part of our waterfront. Why can't we get some of that money that's destined for waterfront improvement? Why can't we get it, and where it would do some good, more people gain from it? Oh, how about that, Marty?
Well, I think everything should be on the table. If the city is serious and they're going to be seeking proposals for the operation of the facility, I think anything and everything should be on the table, and they should be looking at a multitude of ideas for consideration. What do you think?
No. But we need somebody to go there and be able to say these things to the administration. Unfortunately, I can't do it yet because you know the situation. I'm kind of tied up to my chair here. But yes, got some good news, Marty. I tried to call you before. I've gone to Boston, and I had a miracle procedure. I am beginning to see.
My goodness, that's terrific.
Oh, yes, it is. I'm like a kid with a new toy. Just go outside for a few minutes, look around, like something I never saw before. Oh, that's enough. But keep telling us about the Ocean Beach. Town calls that jewel of New London. Why don't they take care of their jewel? Okay, Marty.
Okay.
Go now.
Well, thanks a lot, Larry, for calling. And thank you. A week or two ago when you called up, that was terrific. I enjoyed having that conversation with you. Thank you so much. Okay.
Hi.
Yep. Well, that's a good friend of mine who just called in, and he's really one gentleman who's gotten the care of New London right down to his bones. He's really diligent, and he's honest, and he's straightforward, and we could use a lot more folks like Larry holding the government's feet to the fire, I'll tell you. But I worry about that, and the another thing with these apartments is that there's no amenities at all for kids. So they're not designed for families. They're designed for singles, young couples, empty nesters. And again, I'm anticipating a transient population where they're not really going to take down roots. And you know, you need folks who are vested in our community. We, you know, when I was growing up, and the sound lab was still going at, you know, straight out down in the Fort Trumbull area. I mean, we had, you know, loads of engineers, and they lived in New London or in the immediate region at that time. And I don't think folks calculated how much of a loss it was when the lab closed up and they moved over to Newport. And but you know, you have to have families in here. Who's going to be your coaches and your scout leaders, and do the things that you need to do to have the backbone of your community, the folks that are going to run for political office. I mean, it's really, really important. But if folks are not connected to the community, I don't foresee them putting that much time and effort to giving back to this community, because they don't feel a part of it. They're going to go other places for their entertainment and spend their leisure dollar, an entertainment dollar. And I think that, you know, these are the type of things that need thought. I'm not saying it's something hard and fast, but I think you need to be aware of what's going on. I mean, I recall a couple of years ago on a Sunday, taking a drive with a lady friend of mine. We went on Route 1 from New London all the way over to Westerly and through Mystic, and it's a Sunday. And Mystic was absolutely packed. The sidewalks were spilling over, and it was just amazing. And even Westerly had an element of pedestrian traffic. But leaving and coming back to New London, where there was no pedestrian traffic, there was nothing going on, and it gives you an idea. You know, people are going to go where they feel comfortable, they're going to feel safe, there's something to do. And you know, New London, contrary to some of the signage that has been put up by the city, is not happening. And I think, again, it requires to be a little bit honest. It's hard to solve problems if you don't acknowledge that you have them. And putting on blinders and going like this and kind of just viewing New London like that is really irresponsible. You've got to, everything needs to be looked at very, very carefully. You know, we have a propensity in New London, have been doing this now basically my entire life, where if somebody else is paying for something, by definition, it's a good thing. And you see that with grants, the old, you know, the redevelopment era, urban renewal, but now they apply for grants for some of the, I think, silliest stuff, but because somebody else is paying for it, well, let's do it. And when you come into town off the bridge, and you now have these vertical crayons coming in off the highway until you reach the police station, I'm not sure what purpose they're supposed to have, but they look pretty silly. And then you got the same thing coming down Bank Street, and I don't get, you know, what it's supposed to do. What's the purpose? And you know, we got conflicting motifs and styles. You know, we like to promote ourselves as a historic city, and then they allow a 5 or 6 story apartment building on Bank Street that, I mean, that's so out of place. It's really, I find it disturbing. But there seems to be a level of desperation, and if we don't say yes, nobody will come. And if we don't, and we give an awful lot away in regards to tax abatements, and even those have been escalating. They're now up to running 20 years. It's amazing. You got another call here. Good evening, you're on the air.
Hey, Marty.
Hello. What can we do for you?
Call in and see how you've been doing.
Well, I'm doing okay, getting better.
I mean, you're talking about all these new apartments and amenities. Nobody's thinking about as far as services like police, fire, or public works to be expanded.
Well, from what I can glean, at least Public Works in particular, they're shrinking highway divisions down to 2 guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they're going to do their job.
Highway division's down to 2. Parks Department lost, I think, 1 individual with an early retirement, and even solid waste is not at full staff.
Well, it's a challenge. It's going to create, the stuff has to get done, and we'll be paying for overtime to get things done.
It's like there's no plan.
Well, that's true too.
I mean, what has it been? It was his end of his first term or early second term that Bank Street was made 1 lane with the idea that Eugene O'Neill Phase 2 was going to be a 2-way street to Governor Winthrop. What happened to Phase 2?
Well, I don't recall it happening.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's like they want but it's like, I don't know, even with this community center is not being thought out. I mean, they're worried about Ocean Beach losing $100 a year. The community center is going to lose at least $750,000 for the first 5 years. And that was back on projections when the center was only going to cost, like you pointed out earlier, between 28 and 30 million.
Well, this is what happens when you have basically no discussion on these things. I mean, this center was jammed down the city's throat. There was no real public hearings to speak of. No alternative thought was discussed or given any serious consideration. It was kind of a one-man show, and the city council just got out of the way.
That's like you were talking earlier in your show that Ocean Beach is going out to RF. They're looking for a management company. I saw the same article.
Yep.
Week or so in the day paper. Well, you know, as when I well know as when you served on city councils, RFP is just a formality. They've already selected the management company. They know who's going to run Ocean Beach after Sodexo. And 10 to 1, it's going to be the company that's going to be running the community center.
Well, that's a reasonable thought.
I mean, same time that gave Sodexo after that center place has had 10-year plus contracts or renewable contracts of 10 years was the same. They went to the 2.5-year policy, claiming loss of revenue about the same time that they selected a management company for the community center. Coincidence?
Well, that's what I was trying to allude to earlier, John. We've got one model that where the mayor is blasting it for being inefficient and not getting it done, and then they use the same template down on the community center. It doesn't make sense to me.
And then they have this, it says over the doorway, I guess, as you enter, where everyone belongs. Everyone, as long as you're not a senior in this town, they kept at the senior center. You're excluded from the center, even though you were in the original plans when it was $28 million.
Well, again, and the owner, and we now rent that space where the senior center is.
Correct.
The city doesn't own that anymore.
And I don't think I haven't been up that way in a while, but I don't think much progress has been made with the apartments.
Well, that facility's been flipped. I mean, the developer, the initial developer, Passero sold that to for $1, and they flipped it for significantly more than $1.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing's been done. I mean, the senior center is deteriorating. I mean, it's not in a condition where you're going to, if you're, well, whether a senior or just a resident of New London, where you're going to say, I can't wait to go up there because it's getting run down.
Well, you just have to go to our next door neighbor, Waterford, and the way they, in that apartment complex, or expanding it off of Willett. I don't know if you've been that way recently. For about 2-3 days, they resurfaced, and now it's like 2 lanes to turn left as you head onto Boston Post Road, because they know they're going to have excessive traffic coming out of that complex. When they did the duck pond, they were pretty much on plan. They wanted the duck pond by the library in 1 year. They did it in 1 year.
Well, Waterford, the last time Dan Stewart ran for first selectman in Waterford, the Waterford Republican Party's theme was Waterford Works. And quite frankly, it does. I mean, they think things out. They've got, they are very careful how they spend their money and what they pay cash or bond for. They educate their kids. The grass gets cut. The streets get paved, et cetera, et cetera. Where in New London, it seems to be a bit of a mystery.
No, I know what you can do. I mean, I know you're probably pretty much done as far as running for any office.
Well, but there hasn't been a groundswell of people in the community calling me up and saying, "Marty, we need you." So I've enjoyed serving, and I think you know that. I had a good run. I mean, I've served 10 years on the council, and that was I really felt it was a good way to give back. And the year as mayor was something special as well.
Well, I just thought I'd call in and chat with you a little bit and say hi and see how you've been doing.
Well, I appreciate that. You're welcome to call the program all the time, John. You're a good man, and I enjoy talking to you and getting your perspective on what's going on.
Hey, thanks, Marty.
All righty, have a good night. All righty, folks, that's another good man down the south end of the city, and he pays attention. And again, the community needs folks that are vested, who pay attention, are willing to step up and give back in one capacity or another. And again, I do worry about the transient population coming in. And again, these apartments, if you're, again, they're geared more for young singles or young couples. And, young couples are going to have to make decisions when, if they have children, what they're going to do when the kids get to be school age. And whether we like it or not, the schools are still trolling at the bottom of the state in terms of performance. And that's not something that you can put out on a flyer when you're trying to attract young people into your community. And so the young folks with the kids, they're going to make a decision. Are they going to stay in New London? Are they going to move to a surrounding community? Are they going to send their kids to private school? But many of them are not going to send them to the New London School District, which it gets to be a vicious cycle where it just compiles on itself. And it makes it more and more difficult to get this thing out of the rut. And the schools are a whole different conversation, and we'll save that one for another day. But it's been a fun evening tonight to discuss a multitude of topics, and I appreciate the folks that have called. I did want to mention the conflict coming out of the day regarding the Coast Guard Museum. Here you have the editorial board for the day. They're just lapdog cheerleading for this thing. And then you have David Collins, who's a columnist who I rarely agree with, but on this particular project, when he calls out and says that, they're about $50 million short to pay for this thing, I don't know how the heck you even get started when you don't have the dough in place to pay for it. It blows my mind, and I sincerely and seriously question whether or not this thing's going to see the light of day. I know that they're working down there now, but they still don't have the money in hand to get this thing done. And over the course of the roughly 10 years, or maybe it's even a little longer, since this thing was proposed till now, costs keep rising. They're not stagnant, and it's going to be again rising costs. And who's going to use this facility? I mean, the folks who are running the museum are projecting attendance figures that are going to mirror or exceed Mystic Seaport, and I don't know what they're smoking down there, but I just don't see it. And I think it's important to have folks who are willing to have critical thought on all of these things. You just can't go along to get along and expect that you're going to get positive results. You need somebody who's got, you know, I won't say it's a negative because it's not a negative, it's a positive. You need a diversity of thought and thinking and that check and balance to keep things on the straight and narrow. Well, folks, we've kind of exhausted our time this week, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We are also available on YouTube. This should be up on the air on YouTube either tonight or tomorrow. And if you go to YouTube and search Marty Olsen City Focus SEC-TV, you should be able to pick this program up and a multitude of my past programs as well. And sit down and enjoy it at your leisure. And with that, I'll say good night. We'll see you next week on City Focus.